Brodes Media.
What's going on, everyone? Before we attack the Phillies, the Phillies sweeping the Nationals, we are on the road to 20,000 subscribers. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button too. I really appreciate it. Also, on Twitter, we just reached 6,000 followers, but at Brodes81, head on over to the Twitter sphere and make sure you hit that follow button as well. Always some fun in-game tweets in general when there's not a game. Just a fun follow. So please do that. And thank you all so much. I love you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the show. It's happening. It's happening. The Phillies won 4 straight against the Washington Nationals in a 4-game sweep. They won 5 straight total, while the New York Mets lost 3 of 4 against the Marlins. And now we're in a scenario where they're a half game back when the Mets come to Citizens Bank Park on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What a resilient effort today in the 9th inning. Finnegan gets murdered, left pitches right over the middle of the plate. The Nationals are making errors and huge mistakes in the 9th to keep the Phillies alive. While I love how much they fought back and their offense has been clicking on all cylinders since July 1st, before tonight's effort, they were first in runs, second in OPS, first in walk rate, and second fewest in swinging strikes since July 1st, so they have been a force. While that's all great and dandy, and I really do appreciate the 4-game sweep here, I would have never imagined in a million years they would have accomplished all 4 games. All 4 games, getting the job done. I would not have imagined that that would have happened even with the Nationals selling at the deadline. So I appreciate that, and they set themselves up for a pounce here. They could literally be in first place as soon as this Friday night is over. Tomorrow night is over. But I do want to stress how disgustingly poor the Nationals are. Seriously, when you think about the errors made, the Phillies just won another game where you look at the box score afterwards and go, what? Whether it's Didi Gregorius' throw in the 9th inning where Archie Bradley had to hold on big time, or whether it's Ronald Torreyes, who we're not used to seeing that. I almost fell over in my chair when I saw Ronald Torreyes miss such a simple play. They had 3 errors, and they win games against a team like the Nationals when they have 3 errors. It just doesn't make sense at all. You make it so much tougher on yourself, but ultimately you have that with your schedule remaining. We all knew that, so getting the 4 is very important. Aaron Nola did not help, though, as much as I want to praise Odubel and JT and Rhys Hoskins for what they provided for this team late, and Bryce Harper on the base paths, and Bryce Harper with a 427-foot bomb to straightaway center. Ew! This man is on fire! This man is literally tearing the cover off the baseball. It's ridiculous. It's flat out insane what Bryce Harper is doing right now. It's unbelievable. Unreal. Unreal! As much as I want to praise all of that, Aaron Nola sucked. The usage of the fastball, he threw more off-speed pitches than his fastball. He's having trouble with his fastball. He's having trouble with his curveball. Unbelievable. Like, he started out the game just fine, and it looked like maybe we'd be getting the Aaron Nola that was building off of some of his recent success in his last 2 outings. But instead, it looked like this. In the 4th inning, he allowed 2 hits, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. Whether you want to bitch or complain about the elbow going in and reaching out to get hit on purpose, he still was not good enough, flat out. So I don't care if there was someone who leaned an elbow in or tried to get hit. That doesn't take away the fact that Aaron Nola did not create enough juice in a high leverage situation, if you will. And when I'm talking about this game. This start was a high leverage start for Aaron Nola, and he fell flat on his face. In the 5th inning, a single, a walk, and then the Josh Bell home run. Things need to change, and I just don't think you are going to be able to get an Aaron Nola that's very comfortable this season. Whether it changes for the future years, that's somewhat irrelevant to right now while they're making this push. But ultimately, this is disturbing to see. If I asked you, what do you think Aaron Nola is going to give you next outing? You're going to get so many different responses. You're going to get so many bizarre answers. If I said, what do you think you're going to get out of Zach Wheeler next outing, you'll probably get something along the lines of what that specific person says. My point is pretty simple here. Aaron Nola is so all over the map. It's not good. And as much as I love where this offense is, I don't know how long-term it can carry a team. Eventually, they'll come back to reality a little bit, and then you're forced to hang with this pitching that is not confident at the moment, and that's where my concern comes in. But you can look at the other side, which is the New York Mets, and look at their offensive production over the entire season. Yeah, that has not been smooth at all. So does that give you an advantage? I don't know. We will find out, and we will see as Gibson gets the ball on the bump. And he had a good time his first time out there with the Phillies pinstripes, but that was against the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a totally different beast. And let's think about this road trip that they just went on. They fell to the worst team in baseball. Well, I mean, you can make the argument with the bottom couple of teams there, but with the Pittsburgh Pirates, you lose your first 2 games and you fall in that series and you come out 5-2 at the end of the day. They battled. They absolutely did, and they grind at bats, and they make you work. Here's a statistic for you, by the way, for the middle of this lineup, just to give you a background on how strong they've been. JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, and Rhys Hoskins combined over the last 5 games, 24 for 52 with 10 doubles and 4 home runs. The approach to the plate with this baseball team in general is just magnificent, and they're playing a bit of small ball. They're putting the ball in play. They even got it done today without Gene Segura, who's a 300 hitter. So there's something to be said by that, and getting Gene Segura some time off is something that was on their mind, and we won without him anyway, so it did not backfire at all. Bullpen, De Los Santos, Alvarado, those guys, every time you see De Los Santos or Alvarado, I'm sure that you don't feel like, hey, we got this one in the bag. Hey, this inning's going to go smooth. Hey, there's nothing that could go wrong in this scenario, right? Yeah, I'm sure everybody's feeling that way when they're out there on the bump, so how about that? The ump was wild all over the place. How about the Bradley pitch to Josh Bell in the 9th inning? That 0-0 pitch, and it was outside by, 5 feet, and he called it 0-1, which completely changed the entire at-bat. The next pitch was fouled off. Now he's down 0-2. It's a huge difference being up 1-0 compared to being down 0-1, and with the blink of an eye, it's 0-2. And you also had Juan Soto on second base. Or no, it wasn't Juan Soto at that point, because of the wild throw by Didi. And yeah, it wasn't Juan Soto at that point. But there was also in the 7th inning, Jankowski walked, put together a nice at-bat, don't get me wrong, and he saw a lot of pitches, but there was a curveball by Harper that hit the bottom of the strike zone with ease. It was 1,000% in the strike zone. Should have been a strikeout, and the inning would have been over. Instead, JT comes up to bat with bases loaded. He ended up flying out to right field, so there was no damage done for the Phillies. Not as much damage that was needed to happen, especially with what's behind him, and the possibilities are endless thinking about the way that he's swinging the baseball bat right now. But yeah, I just thought the umpire, Aaron Nola, a few times. I saw some pitches that made me fall over and collapse, and I could not believe that it was called a ball. It made me numb. Really bad day behind the dish. But that was not the difference in the outcome of this game for your Fightins. Rhys Hoskins, 3 hits. I was very concerned about his groin. Remember, he's coming off of that injury, and I was like, hey, keep an eye on it because you don't come back that quickly. They said when he pinch hit the other day that he really can't run. So now you're throwing a guy out there in the middle of a bases loaded chance a few games ago who could barely run, just swing for the fences, and then he's getting back into the lineup? What's going on here? Well, offensive production is what's going on here. Driving the baseball is what's going on here. Knocking in a ton of runs is what's going on here from Rhys Hoskins. So shame on me to wonder if there was anything wrong with the groin that would hinder what he's capable of doing at the dish, because the answer is clearly not, Brodes. And by the way, we are trying to get this trending on Twitter. So if you're watching a Phillies game and something's going on, hashtag flip Brodes the double bird. I have not been high on this team. I am still not high on this team, and there's plenty of reasons why I should not be high on this team based off of what they've been for a long period of time. They're a couple games over 500. I know this was very emotional and very woohoo. I'm waiting to see what happens against the New York Mets because that will tell me a lot about the clubhouse, about the will, about the 1-2, about, leadership involved and being at home, smashing your rival, smashing the team that you despise, smashing the team that you want to spit all over their jerseys and rub it in the dirt. Let's see it. Let's see it go down. But flip Brodes, the double bird, is what we're trying to get trending on Twitter. If they go on this magical journey and they win these baseball games, like, hell yeah, flip me the double bird. Absolutely. I'd be willing to say I was wrong if that was the case. I want the Phillies to flip me the double bird. I want the Phillies to punch me in the jaw and say a lot of mean things right in front of my face. I want to see this, so let's go. Gibson. And speaking of pitching, which is a weird angle to take from Gibson to the bullpen. But anyway, Ian Kennedy did not go. They went with Archie Bradley instead. Joe Girardi was asked about it, talking about how Archie Bradley was warming up. They elected to kind of stay with him and throw him into the fire there for the closeout. Here's what confuses me. Whatever their philosophy is on Ian Kennedy, they selected to target a player like that in the trade deadline for a reason, because they can help close out games. Yet on the third game of this series, when the Phillies won 9-5 on Wednesday night, they put him in with 1 out to go. 1 out to go when the Phillies were winning. They said, yeah, here you go, Ian Kennedy. When they pulled Matt Moore. And by the way, Matt Moore went 4 innings, 3 earned runs. That's Chase Anderson. 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Chase Anderson went 4 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 hits, 55 pitches. They were all solo shots to start the game. It was like Oprah. Robles gets a homer. Garcia gets a homer. He ended up hitting 2, but you get a homer. You get a homer. You get a homer. There were 3 early home runs. Phillies were down, but what did they do? They battled back. Some of that had to do with the lack of talent on the other side, but they battled back. They just grinded through. Double galore. Knapp. How about that? Andrew Knapp gets in there. Jankowski, Segura, Harper, Hoskins in that third inning. What do you know? Hoskins hits a home run. What do you know? Didi Gregorius hits a home run. What do you know? Didi had a tough day, though, in this final frame. That's for damn sure. He got that home run robbed as well. It was a fantastic effort by Soto. And Didi, there seems to be... I know the stat sheet won't say it today, but it seems to be a little bit better at the plate as of late, just with the eye test and all, and he needs to pull himself out of this. I don't like what I saw with some of the decisions made in this last game whatsoever. I don't understand. Someone in Coffee with Brodes said that they believe it's because Freddie Galvis came in and he's worried that he might lose his spot. I don't think Didi Gregorius is worried about Freddie Galvis. I think what it is when you do see Didi play a bit sharper, that's because he's not as egregious as what you've seen. You're just finding the mean. He's going to be great in some spots. He's going to be absolutely miserable in the others, but he's going to come back to reality to some degree here. So when I saw him play better as of late, eye test and just watching him play, it's not because Freddie Galvis is really concerning Didi. Maybe he used that for some self-motivation, but ultimately I think that there's an element here of just getting back to the norm of Didi. Like, you're going to find Didi eventually. Didi is Didi for a reason, and when he's on his game, he is a very unique player that can help win a lot of baseball games. So that's in there. He's been around the block long enough. I'll go back to Andrew McCutchen, how many games into the season where he was dropping balls were hitting him in the hand and dropping it out in left field. He was so overmatched and so overpowered at the plate. Andrew McCutchen's been in this game way too long for him to just fall off this quickly on a huge mountaintop. It's just not reality. You'll find Andrew McCutchen again, and now he gives you this obnoxious, huge offensive surge, which, like, that's not who he's been either for his entire career. So what are you doing? It's one extreme, it's the other extreme, and then he'll fall back into that category of normalcy eventually because he's got the numbers and the statistics and the career to back up who he's been for a long window of time. Didi Gregorius, same exact thing. So, yeah, I mean, the Phillies win 9-5 in Game 3. I don't get what Ian Kennedy was being called on for. I have no idea, and this team just has no idea what they're doing in general. Even though Spencer Howard, by the way, got his first start in Texas, did not go so well. Started to get shelled in the third inning. It's almost as if he's having the same problems there that he did here after making those comments to the media about the Phillies. Even though he's not wrong, we can't bash him because what he said was actually true, and there's legitimacy to saying that this organization doesn't really plan out right what was best for him. It's also happening, though, in Texas, by the way, dude. So let's not forget about that. Bryce Harper was 3 for 5 on that Wednesday night game. 2 RBI, 2 runs scored. Rhys had 2 hits, 3 RBI. It's just absurd the way that they're playing right now. They seem like a group that seems to be together right now. They seem to be a core. They seem to be riding a high. They seem to be kind of like just believing in one another. And there's a good how do you do going. That's what you need right now. Will things change when they see a better opponent? We'll find out. While they're going to see the Dodgers, they're going to see the Cincinnati Reds. The Mets have a pretty brutal stretch as well, though, of Dodgers, San Francisco, and they're going to be tested. So for as much as, and this is what's crucial for me when looking at the Mets game on Friday night, you need to hit them in the mouth. They're not playing good. They don't feel cocky right now. They're not a confident team. So if you can start this bad boy off just hitting them where it hurts, kicking them in the balls, kick those testicles, make that terrible feeling that's in your gut and you're laying there on the ground like, oh, why is this so brutal? Make that happen to them game one so they feel it. And then they start asking questions. And then they wonder if they can come back. And then they put themselves in such a pressure situation and they have so much stress on them that game two intensifies a lot of them. Maybe they hold the bats tighter and they start gripping it a little harder. And keep in mind, they're already a team that statistically is not very good at producing runs. They had how many chances with runners in scoring position against the Marlins? Almost way too many to count. And they could not get timely hits. Game one is very important. I wonder what the fans are going to look like, though. As much as I want to say it's going to be a beautiful sea of red, Citizens Bank Park, August, important games where it matters, the Mets always travel here well. Well, I'm sure a lot of the people who live here could just also be associated as Mets fans because it's not that far away. Maybe they grew up there and migrated down here just for work or things of that nature. But I'm sure a lot of Mets fans are coming down anyway just for the trip to begin with. And something that might keep it Phillies-centric more is just the type of weekend it is for the franchise with honoring a lot of members. So that's definitely going to play a role, I would imagine. It's going to almost be, though, maybe not the same as a college football game that's half one crowd, half the other at a neutral site. It probably won't be to that level. You'll see a lot of orange. You'll see a lot of blue. You'll hear a lot of both. You'll hear a lot of back and forth, I'm sure, from the fan bases from both sides. So I'm just really interested to see, like, what exactly it is. Is it 70-30? Is it 60-40? Is it 75-25? You always see a lot of orange and blue, though, and you can't deny it. So with the Phillies finally having this type of power to them, will the Mets fans look at it like this? This team's a disaster. Speaking about their Mets team, this team's a disaster. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to go watch them live. Although you're a half game up and you're in first place if you're the Mets, regardless of how bad it's been and how the offense has been struggling. You're a half game up, and there's something to that as well. The fans are not just going to quit on them, so foolish me for saying it. Hashtag Flip Brodes, the double bird. That's what we are going with. Also, we're going with DraftKings Sportsbook every single damn day of the week. DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. Speaking of America, our top athletes are over in Tokyo competing for the gold, and DraftKings has a medal-worthy offer just for my listeners. Listen to this great offer. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits if America wins a medal. That's code Brodes to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21, New Jersey or Indiana only, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Wait, what? Did I say that right? Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-WITH-IT. I love how, by the way, I just overlooked the fact that Matt Moore went 4 innings and actually looked pretty decent out there. He was touching 96 miles per hour for Matt Moore. New number, Matt Moore. Maybe there's something to it. How about that confidence that he had on that bump? That was something hilarious. The old Chase Anderson, Matt Moore, how do you do combination? Who would have ever thought in a million years that was going to win you a meaningful baseball game down the stretch in August? Although I guess you can't say down the stretch because there are plenty of games still to go. But this is definitely down the stretch territory. I don't think I'm going too far by saying that. And speaking of stat lines, Aaron Nola, 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. It really does scare me because if you look at that starting rotation, you have Zach Wheeler and then what? An injured Zach Eflin and Aaron Nola. That's a coin flip every time. And by the way, it falls on the bad more than the good this season. So to expect a good one, like that's the outlier. That's the one that you don't get when you flip the coin. It's landing on tails way more than it's landing on heads. So you have Zach Wheeler, a hurt Eflin, a Nola. That's a question mark. Gibson, who in another city was great. Can he continue to be that? He looked good against the Pirates. Let's see. Can he build off of it? And Chase Anderson. So starting pitching, and then, of course, that really does form together with the bullpen. What do you have? What is it? And can this offense be this hot? What happens when they dip down a bit and you have this pitching and you're playing a better opponent? I'm not trying to be negative Nancy. I'm just looking at all the angles here. That's all. And speaking of angles, let's switch angles here on this episode and go to the Anytime Hotline to hear your reaction to the game. Let's fire it off. Here we go.
Well, the combo of the most disappointing duo of the season in Nola and Grigori has tried their damnedest to lose this game for us, but the rest of the team picked up their underachieving asses and swept the Nats. What a huge 4-game set for this team. Now, the biggest test of the season is upon us. This Mets series is enormous and probably the most important Phillies regular season series in probably 10 years.
I would agree with you. It's definitely up there, and there's a lot of eyes on them, so they better not fold, and they better not shrink. This is going to be huge. And, as much as the Mets are going to come to town ready to play, just to tie it real quickly to the Nationals, as you mentioned, the sweep, man, do they look crushed, don't they? Don't they just look as if they don't want to play out there? When Finnegan's on the mound and you're watching him throw, didn't it look like in his eyes that he was doomed? That pitch that he threw to Rhys Hoskins, where were you thinking? What were you thinking? What was the decision-making? Let's throw this right over the dick of the plate with Rhys Hoskins up to bat, who can barrel one and literally murder the baseball. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's put it here. Let's put it perfectly where that barrel is just going to meet the cover of the ball and he's going to drive it. Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's exactly what I want to do. What? JT, come on with some of these pitches. Odubel. Although I don't know what was going on with Odubel on that slide. That was your classic, how do I slide? What do I do? Where am I sliding? How am I sliding? Ow, I just hurt myself. And somehow he stayed into the game. His instant reaction of grabbing the foot and the ankle area in slow motion, and he probably could have pointed to 6 different spots on his foot or on his ankle or his shin, and I would have believed that there was some serious pain there. He got up and stayed in the game. He ended up scoring the run. That was a huge double, though, for Odubel Herrera. I mentioned this previously, that he went from not on this roster, haven't played baseball in a long time, got in there because everyone else failed pretty much, went on a nice run, and then's been quiet pretty much since. We need an Odubel Herrera rise. Hit a homer the other day. Now he gets a double in the 9th to spark up the club. And that was one thing I referenced, the energy of Odubel Herrera. When he walks and he smacks his hand, smacks his gloves, and gets the clubhouse fired up, there's something to that. He's an energy guy. He's an energy buzz. Well, he gets a double, looks at his dugout, and gives a celebration. That's big. And the team fed off of that. Whether the Nationals had sloppy defense behind Finnegan or not doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. It does. That was a really key spot, though, for me with Odubel Herrera. Let's get to the next call here. Anytime hotline, here we go.
Fighting Phils do it again. The Phillies have swept the Nationals, and they've now won 5 straight, heading into a massive series versus the Mets tomorrow at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies have a lot of comeback in them. Aaron Nola, he wasn't the sharpest by any means. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. But the bullpen, they held together. Bradley with the close. You had Alvarado in there too. You had JT, Rhys, clutch hits, Odubel, Torreyes. Great win by the Phillies, and maybe win the series versus the Mets.
How dare I? How dare I disrespect Toe like that? Now, I know I mentioned him previously, but I've just been giving a ton of praise for what we've seen from JT, Rhys, and Odubel Herrera. Toe! Toe! Come on now, Toe! Come on now, baby! Ronald Torreyes. Dude, seriously? I'm looking into this camera right now, speaking into this microphone, screaming at the top of my lungs because of how great Ronald Torreyes has been. And it's not even a joke. I want to look at his numbers right now. That's exactly what I want to do. Ronald Torreyes, something I never thought in a million years on August 5th I'd be saying and typing into my computer. He's hitting .273 so far this season. He's got 5 homers, 26 RBIs. 176 at-bats. .273. Wow. What? And he can play defense too, by the way. I can't believe he made that sloppy one today. That blows my mind. It was a little, whoa, what? One of those days, isn't it? Type of vibe. One of those days. And still, even with that, they come out victorious. For this team, right, we just talked about how dead the Nats are and how much they really don't have a lot to play for. For Aaron Nola to go down this way, that's tough. It's tough. This is a lineup that he should be able to roll through. This is a lineup, and look, there's tough guys in there. I know Josh Bell can hit the baseball. I know Juan Soto is always going to be a tough out, and he's constantly going to put pressure on any pitcher that's on the mound. It's not as if they have zero bodies, but ultimately this team is where they are for a reason. So let's not go too extreme. And with that said, for Aaron Nola to find this type of effort in this type of outing, is it as simple as this? It's too much for him? When it matters that much, it's no-go? I don't know. I would love to go back a handful of years ago when he was in the Cy Young conversation and see what he would have been like in a high-pressured situation, because he would have executed. He would have been able to be fine. He would have made that fastball work. He probably would have used maybe a sinker. He would have used one of those pitches instead. But now you're going heavy with the fastball heavy with the off-speed, should be going heavier with the fastball, and it's all mental, it's all mechanics. That's why I think he's just completely lost. Is it as easy as the meat and potatoes of it is? Too much. Can't handle it. If he's having a better year, could he handle it? Like, he hasn't been able to handle June, July, May. So if he's not able to handle those months either, how is it so just this moment, right? That doesn't add up. Huh. The Aaron Nola experiment, huh?
Bro, let's go. Phillies get the sweep in D.C. I was there. I witnessed it. It was a great game. And we're 1.5 games back now behind the Mets. And I'll tell you, this weekend at CBP, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be exciting. Oh, let's go, Phillies. Ring the bell.
Well, awesome that you were in attendance for sure. By the way, they're a half game back, not 1.5 games back, but it's wild that we believe that we believe it's possible, but it's just crazy that they are in a situation where they win tomorrow night and they truly are leading the National League East. I ask all the time about who the leader of this team is. watching Bryce Harper come around home in the 9th inning, he showed me something with that energy. He showed me something with those fist pumps and those high fives and just losing his damn mind, being so excited. There's something to that. That's part of the intangibles. Now, he's always been an on-the-field type of dude who's going to bring that energy and that effort full time. That is a part of Bryce Harper's DNA when he touches the diamond. But there's been a lot of questions on who the leader of this squad is, and we've mentioned Rhys Hoskins, we've mentioned Bryce Harper a ton. Well, right now they're producing on the field, but it goes a lot more than just on the field and hitting the baseball, or on the field and catching the baseball, or on the field and running the bases. Those part of the game, that like those issues out there and those moments are very crucial to a team's success. You vibe and build off of what your leaders are doing. At the same time, though, I'm taking myself away from that and looking at just the little things, just the communication, just that part of leadership. And I'm starting to see a bit more from the Bryce Harper from the play being so excellent. It's almost rubbing off to those intangibles that I'm looking for. So, that is very big for this team. It's been a question mark for a long time. I had Scott Lauber on 97.5 The Fanatic with me as a guest. He covers the team for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and he said the biggest part of making a playoff run is the fact that you need these guys to learn how to close, win down the stretch, win meaningful baseball games. It's late August. It's September. Win, because all they've done is collapse. Get it done. And we'll see. We'll see if they finally turn the page and it's a new chapter. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.